Hello, 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 everyone. I am here with Alexey, my new friend in Valencia, and he's such a beautiful soul. And I wanted to bring him live so that we could talk about something really fun that we're planning for CEO Planning Days, which a lot of you are looking at coming in October for CEO Planning Days. Alexey's going to be part of this event, and I feel so blessed that I've been able to meet him and we're forming a friendship together. So, Alexey, introduce yourself to people.
All right, let's do this. My name is Alexey. I am an artist, a comedian, and an event producer. I live in Valencia now about 10 years. And I love bringing people together for laughing, for having a good time. But most importantly, I love taking people on long walks. That's my whole vibe. I just love going for a walk and not looking back.
Yeah. And I'll say this, I have been on so many of Alexey's walks and I've only like scratched the surface. It's like my goal is to do every single walk that Alexey curates. And that's actually what we're here to talk about today because Alexey is curating the identity walk, which is going to happen on day 2 of CEO Planning Days. And we're going to talk about that in a minute and why we chose the location we chose. But first, I actually wanted Alexey to share with you the science and the spirituality behind group walks and these connection events because I think it's fascinating, but I also think that more of us could do more disconnecting from devices and more connecting, walking down a block with each other.
100%, 300%, 1,000%. So the thing about walking, and I just want to asterisk here that I'll keep talking about walking, but I refer to walking at a human pace, right? That we're not in a car, we're not in a rocket, we're just sharing a human pace with each other, walking, right? So the thing about walking is not relying on 2 feet to get from point A to point B is literally the most direct way, the most organic way that we form groups. If I'm walking somewhere with someone, we are part of a tribe. We're together in this. So that is something that happens to us when we share a walk. We're automatically on the same page, on the same mission. There's synchronicity that happens to us as a people. And instead of, we might start out as strangers, by hour 2 of going somewhere, we're no longer strangers. It's impossible. We will not be strangers by the time we get somewhere. And that's the magic of walking together, of taking long walks.
Yeah. So, Alexey, when did you fall in love with walking? I mean, I think that's a valid question.
Uh, as soon as I learned how to do it, I was like, "This is a thing for me." No, I think I always like kind of long walks as an artist. If I need to clear my head, right, I go out for a walk. It's fresh air. It's changing scenery. It stimulates your brain in a different way. You can focus if you want to. You can zone out if you want to. There's a lot of therapeutic elements to walking. But particularly, I recognize the sacred power of it or transformative power of it when I did Camino de Santiago pilgrimage, which is a path in the north of Spain that crosses the entire country to Santiago de Compostela. And I did it in August of 2020, right immediately after the pandemic. As soon as the mobility restrictions were lifted in Spain, I said, okay, after 11 weeks of lockdown, of not leaving my house, I have to compensate. So walking for 37 days nonstop felt like compensation for the lockdown. And then in the process, learning about this sacred pilgrimage and just experiencing it in my own body and the connection it has to the spirit, to the heart, that, you come out of a collective hardship like the lockdowns in Spain, which were very, very strict here. And then, by the end of the journey, you are transformed. You're much more embodied, you're much more confident, and you're much more hopeful for the future. So after that, I was like, this is it. I want to keep walking by myself and with people.
Yeah. I want to say, I think the last time I was with you on one of your walks, which was through the local flea market in Cavagnel, we talked about and we discovered you had done the Camino once or twice or a couple times, and I had done it once. And I know that I said to you, and I probably caught you by surprise, Alexey, let's take a group on the Camino. Let's walk and do art along the Camino. And I haven't stopped thinking about that actually, because the Camino for me too was a very transformative experience. I walked from Leon to Finisterre. It was about 100 miles over 10 days. And it was really amazing. I didn't listen to a book. I didn't listen to a podcast. I only talked to the people that I walked with during the meals. I solved like all the world's problems in the first 2 days.
Absolutely. Fully on board. I like how this video suddenly is becoming a soft launch for our Camino proposal, but maybe let's backtrack to Valencia first. So, but no,
Yes.
definitely there's great power in walking with a purpose of getting somewhere and just paying attention along the way to what happens to you, how you feel, why you feel it. And in a lot of cultures, this idea of, let's talk it out. In a lot of cultures, it's actually let's walk it out,
Yeah.
and people go for a walk to settle conflict. And actually, in Hollywood movies, the saloon staple of you want to take this outside, as if there's going to be a fight. The origin of that actually is that was a way to diffuse a situation. You were saying, hey, if let's take this outside, meaning if we go outside, we're going to get fresh air. We're probably going to start moving. We're going to settle this, right? Instead of keeping it inside and letting it explode into a brawl. We kind of got it backwards that, this fight is inevitable outside. Taking it outside meant we probably can settle this outside.
Oh my God. That was worth the whole live right there. Thank you. That was a good piece of history. So let's talk about, like, I knew when I had come on a couple walks with you and we met for coffee and I got to know you a little bit better and know your heart. I was like, wow, what would it be like to have Alexey curate the identity walk for CEO planning days in Valencia? And so you and I kind of brainstormed and we said, wow, let's do the Science and Art Center as like one of the places that you would guide people through. And so without giving it all away, because we want people to come experience it in person, why did this location pop into your mind as like the perfect place to look at past, present, and future identities of ourselves as leaders, but also as the city of Valencia itself?
So the City of Arts and Sciences in Valencia is a very unique place, both in terms of architecture, because when the architect Santiago Calatrava designed it, a lot of the ways that which these buildings are built were unprecedented. He drew up plans and then signed, and then the engineers had to be, sir, it doesn't work like that, right? So how do we, like, that looks good on paper, there's no way, like, we don't, and then figure it out. So it's built into the sort of the spirit of innovation is embodied in those stones, right? Or in whatever those materials are. So it's unique in its visionary quality, but also it's unique in a way that it has transformed the image of the city, right? The brand of the city. It's similar to, for example, how Guggenheim Museum has transformed the image of Bilbao in the north of Spain, right? Or the Eiffel Tower transformed the image of Paris. It's one of those singular pieces of architecture. And in this case, it's a whole city, right? It's a complex of building that really marks a passage of history for a place. There is a before and then after, and that's embodied, the transition is embodied in there. It's also, the story of it is not without its, foils and pitfalls and corruption and delays and all those kinds of things that happen along the way of building something that's lasts. So it's all there, but also it sits in the bottom of this beautiful park that used to be a river that was diverted after the floods of 1957, and so it's this fantastic union of nature and very kind of hyper urbanism, right? And so what wandering around that area really allows you to kind of dovetail all of these different ideas and all of this context, right? One minute you're looking at the fish in a pond, and then you're looking at something that you don't know what I'm looking at and what's it made of. So it's really a fantastic, fantastic place. Another thing that I like about it is the walks that I do with people when we go somewhere, they're not your sightseeing. Like, I'm not a sightseeing guide. There's no like, look to the left, look to the right, here's some dates, here's some numbers. Um, that's not the point. The point is to feel the space and connect to the space and embody the space ourselves, right? We're seeking to be one with wherever we are and whoever we're with. And City of Arts and Science is fantastic in that way because there's so many different elements at play that change with weather, that change with light. And in the park itself, for example, not to give it away, but there's like over 30 pieces of public art just within like a half an hour walk area. But what might actually speak to you is a small piece of public art tucked away behind a pond somewhere. And I love the ability to discover things that are not obvious, right? Things that are not, but there's more that meets the eye there. And I think that's the spirit of the event that you're proposing for people. And the whole vibe of it is that we have to believe there's more that meets the eye. And how do we meet that? And we meet that by walking and exploring that area.
I mean, I just want to ask you, and for everyone listening, the thing I love about Alexey is he goes deep on one thing, but it's not all the boring things of like, this is when it was built, and this is who it was, and this, like, that's not what his walks are about, right? They're really like a reflective, immersive experience where we really get to walk and talk and think. But Alexey, I do have a question for you. You have been in Valencia, I believe, for 8 years now. Is that correct?
A bit more, but yeah, 8, 9.
Okay. Were you here when this thing started going up? Because I don't know how old it is, actually.
No, so it celebrated a couple years ago. It celebrated 25th anniversary. So this entire area is under 30 years old. So in terms of when it came to be, so it's a fairly recent addition to the city. It's in its spirit, it is still a startup in search of identity because there's still bits and pieces of it. Like, for example, one of the buildings reaches kind of its final stage of becoming a contemporary art museum just 2 years ago. Until then, it was kind of looking for, we have the building, but what is it going to be, right? What's the purpose? What's the mission here? What can fit? So it's a very dynamic space that's very new, and it has also gone through the process of finding its identity, its mission. Why are we here? How are we serving people, et cetera, et cetera.
I really love that. And when I think about 25 years ago, I was, God, I have to do math now, 25. I was 25 years ago. But it looks so futuristic even now. Like, I am just seeing it this year, right? As I moved to Valencia, I wonder what people were thinking 25 years ago when they saw this thing being erected. I can only imagine what the older generations of Valencia, kind of maybe their grandchildren, like what they saw, what they thought, right? Because a lot of times as entrepreneurs, as CEOs, we are on the forefront of visionary experiences and they don't always land well the first time. Like, people are very skeptical sometimes, right? So that's why I asked that question, because I was actually thinking about this as you were talking about it. Wow, I wonder what they thought 25 years ago when this plan was proposed.
I think of it sometimes too, but or similar structures where it kind of follows the same idea that when it was being built, people were like, we don't get it. We don't understand why do we need this? What purpose does this serve? And then once it was completed and we kind of get over the novelty of it and we go, oh, no, actually, this is something of value. Like, now it's a calling card for the city. Now it is a space that is well loved and well used for festivals, for, school trips, et cetera, et cetera. It has found its place in the heart of the people. But I think that is often a challenge when you're trying to come up with something that's maybe difficult to explain. Because I also think about like, what was that first pitch meeting, when Calatrava just brought the drawings and people were looking at them, and what are we looking at, So I think sometimes when you try to imagine a product or a service or an idea, and it makes sense in your head, but it can be very difficult to explain it until it's actually done. And you go, no, that's what I meant. And then I think we have to trust that the audience, the people, the customers, they will catch on if it's good enough and we're passionate about delivering it. So not to stop halfway. Imagine if sort of halfway through City of Arts and Sciences, they were like, you know what, based on half of the building, we don't want the rest of it. We're going to give up right now. That's not the lesson here.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God. And I love this. And I think I love it even more because when we bring the CEOs to Valencia and we're talking about what is your next era of work? What are you ushering in for the next era? It could be your legacy work. It could be something you've been working on a long time that you're finally ready to debut. It could be something old that you're taking and you're updating for the market. It's so fascinating because that identity has to shift of who you are becoming to step in and birth this new thing or to redo this new thing, right? And so what we don't want is exactly what Alexey just said, is a whole bunch of people having great ideas and then they only like get 10% of it done. They're like, oh, actually not. Like, I'm scared, or I can't be this person, or I don't know how to do it. And this is one of the things I think that Joyful Business Revolution excels at, is helping find the dream and the mission and the passion in someone's heart and birth that thing and birth it and know that it may take a while for people to catch on, but how committed are you to your idea that we will ideate, we will find all the ways to talk about it and message it and market it so that you can leave this lasting impression of your work and leave the world a better place. And that gets me really excited. Alexey, in case you can't tell, that's my jam.
I think it's clear the enthusiasm is contagious, even though it's a dangerous word to use now. There are so many literally contagious things that I think we need to retire the metaphor. But enthusiasm is contagious. I think Valencia is a beautiful place specifically for that, for take a moment to reflect on how do the different eras of our lives connect and what is coming next, and maybe be surprised by what is next. Because I think even the example of City of Arts and Sciences, by doing it, Valencia had surprised itself and Spain, and largely, so nobody expected a city like this to have something like that. And I think there's a beautiful lesson in that sometimes we need to be audacious and surprise ourselves with what is it that we actually want and then go for it.
And I also have a surprise for everyone. Alexey is also going to be at our connection table that same day. He's a guest at our connection table, and then we'll do our identity walk with him for CEO Days in Valencia. So Alexey, thank you so much thank you so much for taking time to meet with us today, to meet my audience, to talk to the people. And I can't wait to see what else we build together here in Valencia.
Thank you so much. Very excited to be here. Very excited to greet people in Valencia. Sorry, my connection maybe was a little slow today, but I promise that in person, I come without a delay. I'm right on top of things in person.
Yes, absolutely. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Alexey, I'll see you soon on an upcoming walking tour Friday night. Actually, I'm going to see you Friday night. And we will talk to you all soon. Adios, everyone.
Ciao.